Bonjour tout le monde, good morning. I'm Anwar Dahab, I'm the country leader for Dell Technologies in France and happy to be joined by my friends and colleagues here. Before we start, a few points about Dell Technologies. So first, very happy to be here with this very practical healthcare use case on AI. And also just remind you who we are and why we're here. So Dell Technologies is the end-to-end IT infrastructure provider. We're empowering organizations and businesses to get insights from their data to get the best out of their data for AI. And the way we think of it is a simple framework and technical stack called the Dell AI Factory. So what I'll do, I'll take just a couple of minutes to explain what that framework and technical stack is, and then my colleagues and friends here will give you a very practical example of how they're using it for a super important mission, which is healthcare and the University Hospital of Montpellier. When we think of the AI Factory and how organizations, businesses, governments approach AI, we look at four elements. Number one is defining your strategy, use cases, and change management. I know, Anne, you have a lot to say about that. And what we've learned over the last 3 years is that you don't need 100 use cases. You don't need proofs of concept. You need to find the very few use cases that will drive your business objectives, that will have measurable return on investment beyond the first excitement of all the LLMs, etc., and drive them hard. And you need to have a clear business impact, and in the case of healthcare, that impact is super clear. So the first example is, the first point is strategy, and at Dell Technologies we use it and we define a limited number of use cases that are driving results for us. The second thing, and very important point when you think of private AI or AI in the enterprise, is your data. And when you think of it, well over 90% of the data on the planet is private. It's your finance data, your customer data, your innovation and product data. It's obviously citizens, healthcare, etc. So over 90% of the data is private. And if you want to succeed your AI in your organization, in your company, in your hospital, you need to manage your data, you need to select it, label it, store it, secure it, and maintain it. So the number two pillar of a successful private AI company is your data. You need to break the silos, you need to rethink your data infrastructure for your AI. Number two, data. Number three is the models, or should I say the software stack. It's not anymore about LLMs. There is no one-size-fits-all. You need specialized models, and again, we have a very good example here that will serve your purpose. Now we have agentic AI, which is a whole new era of opportunities and challenges. You need to understand what are your agents' mission, what is their identity, how you secure them, how they interact with other agents. So that's the third pillar, and that's something we'll see in this use case. And number four, and that's Dell Technologies business, is the infrastructure. Again, no one size fits all. It's not all cloud or all on-prem. It's certainly hybrid. You need to define the right infrastructure for your private AI. As we say at Dell, you must bring AI to your data and not move your data to AI. You need to have in mind things like, well over 60% of the data, and the hospital is a great example, today is produced and maintained at the edge. So you need to define the right infrastructure with cloud, on-prem, that can be in your data center, in colo, or even on the edge, on your PC. So here are the four pillars, the four steps with a clear technology stack to deliver your AI. And I love the healthcare example because it's the best illustration of this private AI across, a clear strategy and use cases. the data management, the models or the software stack, and the infrastructure. So this is what we'll be talking about. And to start, Anne, can you tell us more about your strategy for the hospital at Montpellier, from patient care to research to administration, and what are you trying to achieve with your AI strategy in a governed, structured, and sustainable manner?
Thank you, Anwar. I'm very pleased to be here with you, and perhaps a few words about why it is in Montpellier University Hospital. Montpellier is a special area where innovation is shared by all the stakeholders. It's called Med-Valley, and Med-Valley is a special idea that in Montpellier, private companies like Dell, like ADLIN, and a university hospital can together bring innovative matters, innovation in healthcare, innovation in a hospital, and make business about that for the patient. So first, it is in Montpellier. Second, it is in the Montpellier University Hospital, because we had the idea that bringing intelligence artificial into our hospital was a deliberate and strategical decision. We wanted to afford to our stakeholders, to our caregivers, the best way to work. We wanted them to decrease all ancillary tasks they had. We wanted them to decrease also the time they were in front of the computer, and we wanted them to use all the fantastic data we had in our data warehouse protected, because we are allowed to use data of our patients because they consent to have this use for us. So we decided to build this strategy in order to increase care, pathway of our patients, and also teaching and research. We didn't want only to have small use cases. We wanted to be autonomous and to be able to drive our strategy on-premise inside our hospital. This is the reason why we decided with doctors to install a strategy that will be shared. And perhaps, David, can you go on to show a little what we have done?
Okay. I'm very pleased to be here too. And as Anne said, we made a very clear choice. We do not want large language models to appear just in shadow IT or in third-party apps where we know we don't control the data. We decided to build our own system, and we just finished a randomized clinical trial with 120 volunteer families, and I'm going to show you what it looks like. So I'm going to show you a clear example of what we are doing. As far as I know, it's the first trial in France testing how we use generative AI and how it can help patients better understand their care. So in this trial, it's in the pediatric emergency department. The AI assistant is drafting the discharge letter, and so the family and even the child, all the 7-year-old child, can have a clear written explanation about what's going on. For that, we have to build a protocol. We have to pass through the ethics review, and before that, we held training session to explain the limitation. I think it's not okay. I think the video is too. It's not. It's focused. Okay. Okay. It doesn't care. Okay. The video is not. It's just zooming on the part. Okay. So we learn to choose different kind of models and to be able. Okay. So So you will have twice. You are lucky. So as I explained, we build a protocol to evaluate how patients and professionals are using AI, and specifically in that case, to better understand their care. So we had lots of time to invest in context engineering and with the involving all the stakeholders and the professional to define how the assistant must act. So, okay. So and today we can tune, test, and improve this system. We had training session to expect the limits of the LLM, what they can do and what they cannot do, so the professional can use it correctly. And we could not have done all this if we have not installed a compute cluster on premise that we were able to. It enables us to run large reasoning models and to test it in very different kind of issues. So why all this effort? Because hospitals worldwide are all facing the same problem. We are, despite the fact that hospitals are full digitalized, we are facing the same problem, is that capture the information, transform the information, explore the information is too time consuming for all the assistant staff. So believe me, this directly affects care safety, care quality, even research and management. So that's why we decided to build our own system. And this is not a simple chatbot. It's an agent. We are wanting to design an agent for collaborative works, including all the people in the hospital, the professional. And the goals are clear. It's helping human, avoiding errors, and replacing computer time with patient relation time. So we know the next big step is using predictive for personalized medicine, and we want to use it as a tools. We are using agents on one side, and on the other side, predictive models that can be used as tools. And the architecture we built is dedicated for that. And but we can't do that without very high quality of data. And this is the reason. This is exactly where Paul and the ADLIN platform come in.
Yes, so maybe just before we go to Paul, so I think it was a great illustration of what we're talking about, a clear strategy and about giving time back to caregivers, better communications to patients, research objectives. You covered also the choices you had to make and the reasons why you had to develop your own model for explainability, repeatability, and security in healthcare, the importance of data. You talked about the infrastructure. And Paul, ADLIN is a key contributor and a key enabler for the University Hospital of Montpellier and others to succeed in implementing AI for healthcare. So if you could tell us more about ADLIN, expand on ADLIN, and the technical choices you made to make this successful in the University Hospital of Montpellier.
Okay, thank you, Anwar. Thank you very much for the invitation. Really glad to present this great collaboration that we have. And I think you used the right term by enabler. This is really how we define ourselves, because at the heart of AI, even more in AI for health, the patients need to be in the center of the reflection. And our decision to embark this journey was clearly driven first by the leadership that we've seen in Montpellier, and the fact that the reflection around AI has been taken by doctors, by people seeing the patients. And so for us was a clear testimony that it was in the right way. The second aspect, that it was seen as a systemic approach. So not like use cases, but use cases. You've seen one incredible example regarding pediatric urgencies. But you have so many ways that AI can impact the hospitals. And our vision is that if we want to have this systemic approach, there is one component that needs to be addressed since the beginning. It's data, but on top of data is the quality of data. Because if you want to apply all this training of AI, apply new different methods that can emerge by different companies, by doctors in the hospital, you need to rely on qualitative data. And this is what we're trying to bring to the hospital in the partnership and within the collaboration that we build together, is how we define the right way that data needs to be structured first for primary care, for research, for the use that they need within the hospital, but how it can be reused by other actors, because at the end, it's the same data. And when you're talking about data, when you can imagine all the different use cases, a lot of time you think about patient data, what you collect in the patient tools. Our vision is we need to connect all the data that are around patients. Biological data, real-world data, omics, imaging. And by doing so, we will be able to create agents that will truly be able to accompany doctor researchers in the way they work. And this is a huge challenge because we've seen that in past times, in the last decades, you had the emergence of softwares. You had a lot of softwares building up in the different institutions and building a spaghetti plate. We need to avoid doing that with AI. It needs to be way more federated, and by keeping in mind that within the infrastructure, all the data come from the patient, and then you need to put together different tools that needs to be connected one with the other to make sure that the clinicians, the doctors, the researchers can have access to the data and apply the right analysis to enter their daily challenges.
Thank you, Paul. I think it's a great example of how important data is when you implement a private AI. And, you may want to touch also on the infrastructure choices you made, because when I talked about it earlier, on-prem can be the answer for a number of reasons. It can be cost, latency, which you were telling me about wonderful examples, or very telling examples, where you can't afford the 2 or 3 minutes it takes to go to the cloud and come back because it's a matter of life and death. So cost, latency, security, and more sovereignty. So you made specific choices on your infrastructure, and if you can expand on those, please.
Yeah, since the beginning. So ADLIN, we've created the company 5 years ago as a société à mission, so like a B Corp, with the vision that we need to accompany public institutions like Montpellier University Hospital to improve the way they manage data. And our vision was since the beginning, we need to keep the data where it's generated. And not because of regulatory issues. It's true, we have GDPR. It's not because of property issues. It's true because you have a lot of investment is made, and those are two good reasons. And a lot of the ecosystem is driving decisions based on those two aspects. But the most important aspect why data needs to be on premise, it's its context. When you're talking about health data, the context in which it has been generated, the clinician who have been alongside the patient, the capacity to have multimodal data and to give explanation of all the description of the data, it's needed to be able to train models, to be able to use it for different use cases. And that's why it's the main reason that we need to keep data locally. And so what we have done is, and thanks to the partnership with Dell, is being able to address those challenges of data generation, data structuration and contextualization, and then data usage within the premises of the hospital. So this was a clear choice, and we believe that today this is a tendency that we push with the capacity to go beyond, of course, because we need to replicate this model.
Thank you, Paul. So we covered, the models, the data, the use cases, and I know talking to you that it hasn't been an easy task to drive the change, to embark all the stakeholders. And just to explain, there are a number of fears and unknowns when you think of AI. And I know that your leadership with the team allowed a successful implementation in the University Hospital of Montpellier. Can you tell us a bit more about how you had to drive that change in the organization?
We really wanted a systemic change that's supposed first to talk with our unions. Trade unions are really reluctant if they are not enough trained to understand what we want to do. So first, talk to your union or you will fail. Second, we have to work on employability of all our stakeholders. If you change the environment, they're going to be lost. If you train them, if you help them to go further, you won't left anyone behind. This is the reason why we have created a school inside our hospital in order to help them to understand the way we will follow and how they will be one of the change and not at the end. Then we have to build a model that is socially acceptable and financially sustainable. So this is the reason why we are working how we can add value on our data's use and how we can control structural costs. And this is very important at the present time in France in our hospital. If we're not enough efficient, we can't go further. So all these elements are really the center of our strategy in order to go further and to go further with all our stakeholders.
Thank you, Anne. So managing workers' representation, training the staff, and being financially, reasonable.
Reasonable and sustainable.
And sustainable. Sustainable was the word. Thank you. David, I'll go to you again on, you're the doctor here. I mean, we have two doctors, but, what next steps do you see in the implementation? What next use cases? What next step? I mean, you have your wonderful area system that, and we saw it in the video that helps the communication with patients. What other implementation and use cases do you see?
Today, as I said, we are running open source large reasoning models, and we are trying to build context engineering for lots of different workflow in the hospital. And the question is which is the more relevant and where we can create value and involve the stakeholders. And we are trying to do it for supporting clinical reasoning in a very specific area, to help for providing documentation in very different kind, even for speech-to-text recognition and conversational recognition with the same cluster of calcul. And we also use it for the whole workflow. It means in the background, we are structuring the data, and we are for coding, for research, for managing program, or for quality assessment, and that's the same process will lead to different issue, and this is very important because in the hospital we are spending lots of time running to the good information. So, for example, we are trying in the operating theater room to provide assistance for the surgeon, and he can also make the checklist or providing information for the medical report or for post-operative consigne, and also we can check if the material he has implanted is a good one, etc., etc. So we have many clinical situation we have to evaluate and to see if it fits with the protest. So we have to iterate a lot of time, and that's very important to be able to change and to adapt for every kind of use, and we have so many use cases in the hospital. So the answer is multiple evaluation in real use case.
Yes, thank you. So we heard clinical reasoning, we heard documentation, helping the surgeon, and a number of other. There's one more.
Yes, and be able to test predictive models of every kind of specialties. and to be able to switch from agent to predictive tools that help people using it in real life. That's very important because personalized medicine is a very big issue.
Yeah, and targeted therapies. Thank you. So, as a conclusion on my side, and then we'll have le mot de la fin from each of you. Let me say that we at Dell were inspired and grateful that we can, with you, have this real-life implementation of AI in an organization. We talk about enterprise AI, we talk about how it helps businesses. For this one, the business objective or the purpose is super clear. Better patient care, saving lives, and hopefully we gave a little glimpse of all what we're doing together and how it's advancing human progress, and in this case, healthcare. So I would just like to say thank you for the partnership. I know we have a replicable solution with your help that we're showing to other health institutions. But again, thank you for taking the time today. Thank you for the inspiration every day working with you guys. We're providing the infrastructure, but you're doing the real work. And with that, I'll leave it to you for final word. Maybe Paul, then David, and you, Anne.
Well, thank you. I can just concur what you said. It's a tremendous project with a clear vision, with a clear impact. The thing is also what we are aware of. We are 4 on stage, but there is so many people working with us, whether in our teams, but also other partners. And we know that this kind of project needs to be done collectively. You have a lot of knowledge on the market, and different use cases can be addressed by other companies, by other experts, and it's by the federation of this knowledge that it will work. And so this is one conclusive message, is that we're trying to pave the way in the way where hospitals should be working, but it's a collective work, a collective project. And yeah, we'll be more than happy to continue the discussion beyond.
And thank you, Anwar, because thanks to Dell, we could scale up our project. And by giving time to our caregivers, we make the hospital more attractive. And by giving some transparencies to our patients, we align with their expectation. So this is really the spirit and the inspiration of this project.
And just a word, because you mentioned replicability, and I think it's a key issue because we need it, because we will not have equity for care in every different structure if we are not having some solution we can be able to replicate in small or bigger. And there are lots of complementary solutions on-premise, on cloud, and all the infrastructure are working in urbanization to promote AI in healthcare. So thanks a lot for that.
Thank you. Thank you, Paul. Thank you, David. Thank you, Anne. Thank you.